right? Hopefully I pronounced that the right way. We have predictive history, game theory, rich dad, poor dad type game. Let's do it, man. I know y'all want that kind of game, right? Some of y'all want to be the rich dad. Some of y'all will unfortunately remain the poor dad. But both of these dads are valuable. Do your homework. You understand what I'm saying? It's not like the one was down bad, bummy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, deadbeat or whatever. Like, if I remember correctly, right? Rich dad, poor dad. I'm talking about the book. But yeah, we're here gathered together, folks, to dive into the game theory. They're about to, you know, give us some game on how this whole rich dad, poor dad thing works. Well, it's actually about financial literacy. You know what I'm saying? Let's kick it.
It's volumes of demise. I hear the sound buzzing. So when she said she wanna die, and he sees she ain't bluffing, so he held her to the skies. Cries, sour momentum, passive with goodbyes. I'd rather you tell him, but now the truth is I've digressed from all the feelings, so it's forever though.
Alright, I think where we left it off, bro, he was giving the example about the poor parenting skill. Oh yeah, poor parenting, how poor parents parent their children and how rich parents do it, right? Talking about rich parents have this negotiative nature to their kids. They're sort of like trying to understand their kids, trying to make their kids understand conversationally, you know what I'm saying, intellectually, just like instilling principles like, you know, resilience, self-control within their kids. While the poor, you know, they always the pressure is there, the pressure is always high, or, you know, from authority figures, you know what I'm saying. And so the pressure that they always have to, because they always have to like perform to keep their position, right? It's always tense. A single mistake might have you not experiencing the same kind of survival that you've been accustomed to, type stuff. You know what I mean? Your survival depends on you complying, right? There's no negotiation. Nobody's trying to hear that. You either deliver or, you know what I'm saying? You fall from grace. You don't measure up. You know? So he was breaking that down. Professor Jan. Still on game theory. Hold on. What the hell am I doing? You know what I'm saying? Still on game theory. Still chopping it up. And I think he was making an example. He was about to hop into an example of how he parents and shit like that, right? This is part 2, ladies and gentlemen. Rich dad, poor dad. Let's do it.
Okay? Does it make sense, guys?
Okay.
Because if you do it another way, okay? If you choose to be a friend to your child, if you choose to communicate, if you choose to keep your promises, then your friends and your family will think that you're doing something wrong. You understand?
That's actually weird.
They won't think, oh my God, you are an enlightened parent who's read a lot of parenting books and great for you. They're gonna think there's something wrong with you. Okay? So let me give you an example of this.
Let's go.
Let me give you an example of this. So my wife and I have 3 kids, okay? My parenting style. So my wife and I have 3 kids. And this is how we parent our kid, okay? First of all, we give our child a lot of freedom. So we don't have our kids do activities, okay? We don't have our kids do lots of activities.
Right.
We don't send our kids to math class. We don't send our kids to swimming class. We don't send our kids to piano class, okay? We just let our kids run around and play.
Right.
The other thing that we do is we communicate a lot with our child. Okay? Communication. We believe in democracy in our family.
Democracy.
If we're gonna make a decision together, we want everyone to communicate together. Okay?
Okay.
So a normal Chinese family will just have a very tight schedule, right? And the other thing that we do that's different is we tell stories.
Bonfire.
Chinese families will do math. Okay?
Yeah.
So we raise our children in a way that's very different from normal Chinese families, from the way that you've been raised. Okay? And we do this because both my wife and I, we spend a lot of time talking about parenting. I've read a lot of books about parenting.
Does that mean that's planned parenting? Planned parenting. Is that what planned parenting is? You plan this stuff, right? Wait, let me see. Let me see if I understand that.
Hey there, Sizway.
Hey, what is Planned Parenthood?
Planned Parenthood is a non-profit organization that provides reproductive health care and education in the United States and internationally. They offer services like birth control, abortion, STD testing, cancer screenings, and more. Founded in 1916 by Margaret Sanger, it has become the largest single provider of reproductive health services in the US.
Okay, whoa, okay, no. I think I was mad off. I was so offline. Okay, that's not plan, but like that sounds like you planning your parenthood, right? You're planning how you want to parent your children. That's how I take it. Okay, you can. Let's go.
Many decades researching the best education possible, and so that's why we raise our children in this way. And guess what?
What?
Because we do this, we have no friends in China.
Oh, yeah, because y'all are different. Y'all are an anomaly. Y'all do things so different. Y'all damn near alienated as a family.
But they all think we're crazy.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
But we do this because for us, what's most important is to make sure that our children are happy and healthy.
That's
and
it.
That they have a chance to be creative.
That's it, bro. Like, you know, I was having a conversation with my grandmother this one day, right? A couple years back. Wait, what's the scene? Give me the scene so I can see. Right? I was having this conversation with my grandmother. She, you know, we're having a religious conversation about religion. People who understand religion differently, and people who, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, the conversation got to a point where we spoke about even family members that get divided because of religious things. She was like, yo, bro, like the things that you get in this world, bro, they're the things that you get here. They're the things that you're gonna leave here. Okay, cool. The closest thing you have is your family, right? And so therefore, you do get to a point in your life where you do whatever you do, right? But what we establish here as a family, bro, is what should be stronger than whatever it is you're gonna find outside of these boundaries of this family. You know what I'm saying? Like, the principles, standards that we establish here are stronger. You can be the most religious person you want to be out there, and then, you know, you come here, okay, we see you're the religious one in the family and things like that. But then when it comes to practicing the things that we do here in this family, you're gonna have to, you know, put that religious garment off, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna have to. It's like you get to a point where you especially when you are a family oriented person, you know what I'm saying? Like, that ends up just dawning on you. I was like, yo, that's actually real. That's actually pretty real, because this was actually post the time I seen, you know, the ridiculousness that goes on in religion. Because it's not all ridiculousness, right? There are people that go there authentically and, you know, grow in positive ways. But then there's also this ridiculous side of, you know, religiosity. I don't know. But, you know, I heard, I was like, yo, just to avoid like the ridiculousness, you know what I'm saying? If you choose to be super Saiyan religion person, guy, girl, whatever, you do that. But when it comes to things of whatever it is that's important, aka the family, how we choose to parent, how we choose to raise what we got going on, right? How we choose to invest in the environment that we trying to grow for ourselves, our children, our lineage. This is stronger than all of that, right?
And be successful in life.
And be
because I think that if
successful
you do
in
it
life.
this way, the child will not be creative, will not be successful. But if you do it this way, your child will fit into China better.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
So parenting, the goal, the incentive is not for your child to succeed. The incentive is for your child to fit into
the
China.
mold. Sure,
Or
sure.
the larger social environment that you are
Sure,
in.
yeah, of course.
Okay? And that's why it's very hard to change the way people behave. And that's why social structures are extremely rigid, because the game they're playing is often just to fit into their environment. Okay, does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, any questions before I move on? Yep.
Thanks. So for poor families, is there any way for the poor kids to succeed, to be the rich parent you described?
Yeah, you know, hey, this guy's hitting on a question that, you know what I'm saying, I had in my brain since part 1, when he was discussing the principles initially in part 1, right, of this rich dad, poor dad stuff. I was like, yo, what if you become that anomaly? That, yo, you come from that rich dad, right? Your parents, the people that brought you up, or, I mean, you come from the poor dad side. Your dad, your parents, the people that brought you up were poor, you know. But then you break through that generational curse, hello, and you yourself, you become a rich dad. Now, what kind of ingredients sort of work together to produce you know, that kind of reality? You know what I'm saying? Being in a poor environment, right? Surely that's an unusual case, right? Extraordinary case. So what exactly is at play when that happens, right?
In the future? Yeah.
Okay, that's a really good question.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, for sure.
So we know that there are certain poor kids who do succeed.
That's right.
For example, I'm a poor kid who succeeded.
That's right.
We immigrated to Toronto, Canada when I was.
I'm a poor kid who succeeded, goddamn. You know what I'm saying? Speak that shit. You're a poor kid who succeeded. Speak it, bro. That's why we're here, and that's why you hitting that like button and subscribing, because you're the poor kid that succeeded.
like 6 years old, and my father was a dishwasher, so we were a very poor family.
Yep.
Okay, but I succeeded because I left Canada for the United States. So Canada is a very rigid place where poor people basically move up a bit, but not too far.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I'll go ahead and say, you know, having the spirit, the mentality of going against the grain. First things first, right? Having the spirit of going against the grain, facing the odds. You know what I'm saying? At all costs. You know what I'm saying? These are the ingredients that make up that kid that came up from a poor environment become the rich parent or the rich dad. You feel what I'm saying? Being comfortable with discomfort, bro. It's like it's clearly the things that majority of the people run away from, or you know what I'm saying, look at and see the pressure and be like, nah, I'm not ready to handle this. I don't want to handle this for some reason. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's a big portion of people who are not the 1%. God damn it, that's why the 1% is the 1%. But yeah, I feel like there are motions of ideas where it's like, yo, the people who are the 1%, a lot of it's inheritance. A lot of it is the networking amongst them own selves. So the fact that they, you know, prevent a whole lot of people from accessing that 1% capacity, right? You know, they prevent people, so it's like it can't happen. But let's go according to the theory that, you know, all that material is, you know, with the 1%, because the rest of the people are just like, they just want to take shortcuts and things like that, right? Again, that's not a blanket statement, right? It's not a blanket statement, but like it does reveal something, it does reveal something about, human nature and the nature of the psychology of the human to just like pick the convenient option, right? To self gratify immediately at that point. You know what I'm saying? So that obviously keeps you at the bottom of the barrel. Let's be real. You know what I mean? So being able to be comfortable with discomfort, bro. Like setting standards that you've never seen set in your own family. You know what I'm saying? Doing what's different. That's what makes you stand out from being that poor you into a rich version of you, right?
But I was able to succeed because I was able to get a scholarship to go study in the United States.
There you go.
Okay, so there are opportunities. The problem, though, is that it means leaving your community.
Leave your comfort zone.
Okay, does that make sense? So one way to succeed is to abandon your community.
Abandon your community.
But that's high risk.
It is high risk.
Right? So you have to be extremely individualistic to take such a risk. So that's why most people don't do it. Because you think about it.
And another thing, I feel like that alienates you. Like when it comes to, oh my God, it goes back to the whole being comfortable with uncomfortable situation, because you will get alienated from people like your family, your close relatives, and things like that, right? Because now they might just take it as if like you don't even mess with them no more. You don't love them. You don't like, you know what I'm saying? Like you want to stay, because look, bro, like moving away from your community so that you ensure your own success, right? And ensure even how you choose to survive, because the older you grow, the more of an opportunity you have to do that, especially if you do things the right way and also are strategic and smart about your own life decisions, especially coming from that poor background that he's speaking on right now, right? It's like there are moments when you have to completely dislocate, so to speak, like just like disconnect, right? To a point where even the phone calls that come in regular, the phone calls, the black tax, I don't know if people still call it black tax, the sending money back home, you know what I'm saying, making sure everybody's straight, being that person to look out for everybody, hold this, hold that, you know what I'm saying? Those phone calls that regularly just like hit you up, you're gonna have to like lessen those, unfortunately, you know what I'm saying? That might be really seriously uncomfortable for a whole lot of people to do that, you know what I'm saying? Especially doing that to your own family members, you know what I'm saying? It might take you having to make those tough kind of decisions, and that may feel and be seem to make your life extremely alienating, or feel you might feel alienated. But these are the things that I'm talking about, where it's like, I'm not gonna lie, it feels crazy, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
The safest option for you is to stay within your community. That's what's gonna guarantee you the best outcome.
Yeah.
But if you choose to abandon your community and just say, you know what, I'm gonna go somewhere else and try my luck, that's taking a really high risk. Okay. So you to succeed, you have to take high risk. So another possibility is war.
War?
That traditionally, historically, has been the best mechanism of social mobility.
Yeah.
When you go fight a war and you do really well, you get promoted in life. Okay? But again, war is high risk because chances are you'll get killed.
Yeah.
Okay? So not just war, but also revolution. Right? Okay? And of course, the best way, of course, is to marry up.
Marry up? Okay. What's that about?
Okay? And that's why, remember in our very first class, we talked about the dating game, right?
Yeah.
Where woman...
Oh, for the woman's side. Yeah, cool. I get it
only
now.
want 5 and 4. Okay? The reason why is that 5 and 4 are high status, and 3, 2, 1 are low status.
Low status.
So if you're a woman, you don't want to marry into a low status family because your children will be screwed over. Okay? Your best option is to take a risk, gamble into
Marry
a
up.
high status and marry. You want to try to marry into a high status family. Okay? So traditionally, war and marrying up are the two major mechanisms of social mobility. In today's world, abandoning community can also lead to success. Okay, basically immigrating to a place that offers more social mobility, which often means the United States. Okay, but another way of saying this is you have to get really lucky, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's lots of poor people who think that, you know, I succeeded because I worked hard and I'm really talented. Look,
Luck has
I was
something to
born
do with it.
poor. I lucked into Yale. Okay, it's luck.
Yeah.
You can work as hard as you want, but the chances are against you. Okay? And it takes a certain personality, which is you're really individualistic, you're very ambitious, and you have high risk tolerance.
And isn't that luck thing the whole when hard work meets preparation? Is that it? When hard work meets opportunity. Oh no, when preparation meets opportunity. Yeah. When preparation meets opportunity. Right? Because the opportunity for you to just like have something change or have your life change needs to have you prepared to handle whatever it is that's about to change your life. Right?
Most people don't have that, okay? So yes, there are certain people who, despite their background, they're able to succeed.
Yeah.
But that's often the exception to the rule,
Yo.
as opposed to the rule itself. Okay, so
And I feel like, you know, the door is often so slim, bro. In terms of grabbing that opportunity to change your life and change your background, change your lineage. The window of opportunity can be small or narrow because of just your own limitations, your own background, your own mental barriers. You know what I'm saying? Instead of the possibility of looking at life like something you can negotiate with. Again, to the point that he was breaking down about, you know, rich parents, they teach their kids how to negotiate, you know, and reason with life, and not just like be afraid and always take every order without asking any questions, right?
So thank you. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay, any more questions, guys, before I move on? Okay.
Can be luck counted as a kind of ability, or is just coincidence?
Okay, that's a really good question.
That's a good one.
Okay. Yep. So, you're absolutely right, okay? So, luck is a form of strategy. Okay? Strategy.
It's a strategy.
And all this
Oh
is
yeah. So I'm kind of projecting that he's gonna talk about that whole, you know, preparation meeting opportunity.
is that you are trying to position yourself in a place that allows you to get lucky.
Exactly. Come on, man. Because when we're talking positioning, we are talking about, you know, preparation, getting yourself at a certain point. But that even requires setting goals. So we can't say like being lucky does have a little bit of work put in, energy put in. It may not be a whole bunch of energy where it's like the hardest work, but you need to put energy in. Because, for example, it's like you wanting to you know, pass your exams, for example. You know what I'm saying? You put the work in and you study. You might just do it passively, just like reading your textbooks out of curiosity, instead of like out of, yo, I need to work so hard because I want to be the highest the one, you know, the one to achieve the highest grade or whatever, or result, right? But maybe reading your own textbooks just out of curiosity, bro. Researching what you're into out of curiosity. That does, okay, if it is something that you're into, obviously that's easier. That's way easier said than done. I mean, said than done. What? That's easier to get to. That's easier to do, right? Just researching about whatever module you're dealing with in college or in school or whatever. Like, you know, not on some pressure vibes, but just out of curiosity, right? Out of just like, I just want to grow my own brain. And then obviously that keeps you tapped into what you're gonna be examined on in the school exam too, or the test or whatever, and then you might just kill it. But you see, you didn't even have to like deal with the pressure of studying a week before that, or a month before, or a night before. God damn, some of y'all be like taking that kind of risk, studying the night before for some kind of test or important exam or some shit like that. You feel me? So the opportunity, the opportunity for you to just like kill it, or the opportunity for you to kill it, the exam, for you to just like show what you've prepared for, right? But you didn't, like, the preparation wasn't pressure, so it was positioning yourself to kill the exam. So positioning, that's what Professor Jang is oh my bad, my fault. That's what he's breaking down, right? Positioning has to do with that. And positioning, there's a certain energy that goes into you positioning yourself, so that whatever wave hits you and you can actually ride the wave and surf it. You know what I'm saying? So that can happen. Okay.
So I left Canada and I went to the United States because I knew that in Canada, doesn't matter how hard you work, no one cares. But in the United States, if you work really hard, then you might get lucky and you might meet someone who's like, wow, you're a really hard worker, I want to promote you. Okay? So you're right in that, yes, you can strategize and increase your luck, but it's still luck.
Still luck.
All right? And those who succeed are able to think strategically and far ahead.
Yeah.
And position themselves in a way that allows them to get lucky.
That's good.
Okay? And they often have the characteristics that we talked about, you know, like so self-control, resilience, and the ability to look inward and better understand what you're good at. Okay?
That's it.
So it takes a combination of factors. But the point I'm trying to make is that these people are only a minority, okay? 1% of the population, really.
Right.
Okay? And they still depend on luck. Any more questions before I move on?
No, we good.
Okay, so this leads us to a question, which is, okay, well, the way that I frame everything, you have poor and you have rich. And as discussed, they live in their own world, and they don't really connect with each other. They have different parenting strategies.
You know what? I feel like this one right here, this one will be a perfect segue for our next section. All right? So a quick word from our own sponsor. What the fuck I'm doing? What the hell I'm trying to do? All right? Quick word from the sponsors, man. It won't hurt, man. It's just a couple of seconds.
So it's forever though. When my mama's son missing, ain't no telling, do they love or did they kill him? The dominoes have fallen, we can't go back to beginning. This existential crisis, the reason I cannot keep competing and keep on living. So it's back against the world, seeing all your value once you dealt with all the dirt. Backing up slowly from these diamonds and pearls, quote unquote.
Alright. That was quick, right? Whoa, that was quick, right? Quick, fast cast. Background music, Susie Freestyle. Phrase 96, me type beat 6. Get to it if you care. Game theory. Still at rich and poor dad theories, right? Let's get to it. Professor Jang.
Worlds, and they don't really connect with each other. They have different parenting strategies, they have different outlooks. And you have rich.
Poor and rich.
Well, the way that I frame everything, okay? The way that I frame everything,
How?
you have poor and you have rich. And as discussed, they live in their own worlds, and they don't really connect with each other. They have different parenting strategies, they have different outlooks. The rich stay with themselves, the poor stay amongst themselves. So this looks like a very stable system, right? Stability.
Yeah.
Oh, the word we can use is equilibrium.
Nah, let me just point out this, right? Let me just point out this for all my people out there that feel like they're going crazy, right? That they're going crazy by disconnecting with their communities. This is a validation video right here to be like, yo, you're not going crazy, bro. Disconnecting to, you know, whatever you need to disconnect to, cutting the ties with whatever you need to cut the ties with in order to change the generational, you know, fortune of your own lineage, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because one thing that I've realized is that the people at the bottom of the barrel, the people, you know, they might guilt trip one another and be like, yo, you're cutting us off, like you're forgetting your people, things like that. Because, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying, yo, it's wrong to look back and help your own people. That's actually what you're supposed to do. But you have to be successful first. You have to work at that first. You have to understand the principles first. Because you, who comes from the poor background, you have to put in a little bit more effort, or a little bit different kind of energy to, you know, number one, transform your situation, and then number two, then keep it going, right? It's gonna require a whole lot of transformation with regard to, you know, the history of principles that brought you up, right? That made you who you are. Well, who you were, and then until you transformed it, right? Until you decided to transform it. So you're not crazy. Like, I would go ahead, because I attribute my whole being with myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm working at things that I want to transform my own life. I'm proactive with my solitude. You understand what I'm saying? So here's, you know, validation to that. You know, here's to the fact that we're not going crazy. You know what I mean? Because you do have those pure intentions for, you know, for helping your people succeed too. But you gotta have your cup full first before you can share whatever is within that, right?
Now the question then is, why do societies collapse? Why are there revolutions?
Yeah. Great question.
Why are there social changes? This looks like a system of equilibrium where, because of parenting, people know their place and people know how to best strategize about maintaining their place.
Yeah.
So why is there social change? And the reason why is that this system has problems and it's stable, but the main problem is this system, okay? It's the rich that's problematic. And the reason why is that the rich are taught from day one to negotiate a better outcome.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So they don't just take the hits, bro. Like, they'll question everything before the result, you know, comes upon them.
So another way of saying this is that the poor is like minimum outcome.
Wage? Oh,
okay.
Outcome, yeah.
The rich want the maximum outcome.
Oh, break that down.
The poor are like, you know what, if I'm alive, if I have a decent job, I'm okay.
Oh,
But the rich are like, no, I need to be.
And as long as I have those weekends to go back home and get wasted and do the whole escapism thing, then I'm good. As long as I got those things, I'm good.
The top dog. I need to improve my lot in society. Otherwise, what's the point of my life?
Yeah.
Okay? So they have high expectations, okay? High expectations low expectations.
Right.
Okay? And this is a problem because power, it's a zero-sum game. Okay? Hierarchy is a zero-sum game. So only a few people can be at the top. So eventually you get into a situation where there are too rich people, too many rich people, and not enough powerful positions. And this is what's called elite overproduction.
Elite saturation. The elite bubble.
Okay? And then what happens here is that in order to get power, certain factions of the rich will align with certain factions of the poor against the powers that be. Okay? So all revolutions are always between the half a lot versus half some. It's never between rich and poor. It's always between half a lot and half some.
Okay.
So the people who led the Chinese Revolution, right? People like Mao Zedong.
Or maybe it's because, you know, there are a whole lot of the higher middle class people, I'd say, because, you know, they part of that poor bubble, right? The upper middle class, they feel a little bit relatable with the newly rich, the people who are newly rich but not official, established, secure, and positioned, right? They're newly rich, but you know they're that half a lot with the half a little. You know what I mean? Because these people's worlds, they kind of overlap a little bit. Because the upper middle class, they getting enough to maybe feel like they're almost there. So they might, you know, be like, you know, establish that kind of connection with that half bottom of the rich. You know what I mean? And then the half bottom of the rich, they look at them like, yo, like, we still treated like shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we still treat, not like shit, but there's not enough to go around. And so therefore, yeah, we do need that help from you. We do need that help from y'all bottom class, but the upper half of that bottom class, like, yo, let's overthrow these guys. But then, you know what I'm saying, there's still limited position for power at the same time. You know what I'm saying? That's an interesting situation, Professor. Break it down.
Zhou Enlai, Deng Xiaoping, they were not poor people. They didn't come from poor families.
Yeah.
But they weren't rich enough, okay? So the Chinese Revolution was really between the urban elite versus the rural elite. Okay, the half a lot versus half some. If you look at every revolution in human history, that's always been the case. Okay? If you go back to Chinese history and you look at all these revolutions that started in China, it was always led by the middle class or the aspirational class, usually merchants, right?
The ambitious class.
Because they were discriminated heavily in society, but they had money. They wanted to transform their money into power. So when times were bad, when people were looking for change, they took the initiative and led people into revolution.
Do you think those, then that would mean those are the ones that start maybe political movements and shit like that? Because they have the means and the resources to be the people's champion, right?
Okay.
So they can lead those people and have a position.
Okay, does it make sense, guys?
It does. Thank you, Professor. Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah.
Any questions?
No, nothing else. Say no more. For real. That's it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So you said the revolution was initially be like within those rich people. So how could they lead the poor people to follow them to start the revolution? Because
yeah, that's a good one. That's a good question, actually.
People like the public state to initiate.
Okay. Okay, great question. Okay, so revolutions are almost the same. So over time, because of the structure, because of the inequality between rich and poor,
Yeah.
certain problems arise, okay? So, and these problems are extremely common. The first problem, okay, problems. The first problem is indebtedness.
Indebtedness.
Because the rich have a monopoly over wealth, for the poor to survive, they need to borrow money. But over time, because of interest rates, the poor find themselves in slavery. Okay? Because if you can't afford to pay back the bank or the rich person, then your
You're
body
indebted
is
to-
collateral, okay? So you become
Oh.
a slave, but not only do you become a slave, but your children become slaves as well.
They inherit
So slavery becomes a very common problem.
Yeah.
And then the third issue, of course, is landlessness.
Landlessness.
Okay? So these are the three most common problems that ultimately become the seeds of revolution. The poor get into debt, and so they lose their land, and their children become slaves. Their children's children become slaves as well.
Yeah.
Okay? Because of interest rates, it's impossible for you to pay back that debt.
Sure.
Okay? So now you have a majority of people who have absolutely no incentive to live. So what happens now is that a elite, okay, say to these people, follow me into revolution and I will clear your debts. I will give you land and I will end slavery. And that's it.
Damn.
Okay? Every single revolution.
Until they occupy the power of position, and then there's a new elite that's gonna help that upper middle class to be like, yo, I'll help you overthrow these people, and then the cycle continues. Right, Professor?
Has been like this. There have been different names, okay? So for example, communists are like, we'll create a communist paradise. But what's a communist paradise? A communist paradise is where debt is canceled, where people are given land,
Yeah.
and where no one's a slave, okay? Then others like, okay, we'll create a religious paradise. Islam, okay? So Muhammad, the Islamic Revolution was about this initially. Later on it changed, right?
Right.
And Muhammad said to everyone, we're going to create a kingdom of heaven. What's the kingdom of heaven? The kingdom of heaven is where people don't have debt, where people have land to feed themselves, and where there are no slaves. So if you're a Muslim, you can never be a slave. Okay? So look at every single revolution, it's this pattern. Whereas over time, because of inequality in society,
Okay.
you have
Now, I'm not gonna lie, that religious one is actually pretty interesting.
people.
I thought we were talking about like just financial power. Well, not financial power. Well, yeah, financial power translates to political power. And what's this? Yeah, right. Business power. I don't know, power in business. I don't know. Oh, power in industry, right? You take control of industries. You know, things like that. Yeah, I guess there is a connection with religion. I see it now.
Who fall into too much debt, they become slaves, they have no land, and then because of elite overproduction, you have this faction that splinters off, and who, in order to obtain power, get the people on their side, okay? And you look at the Roman Civil War, Julius Caesar was saying the same thing,
For real?
right? Why was he so popular? Because he was saying to the Roman people, if I become king, I will get rid of your debt, I will free you of slavery, and I will give you land. And that's why they had to kill him. Okay? Why is Donald Trump so popular in America right now? Same thing, man.
Same
Where
thing.
Americans are in debt to their credit cards, student loans, their houses. And so
And the immigration situation. And then obviously people like Trump. I remember when he was receiving that help from Elon as well. Yo, let's make this change. This is what we're promising. This is that. You know what I'm saying? And obviously that comes from the backbone of the country having, you know, having had a disappointing president, the president that they felt, can't handle this position. Too old, you know what I'm saying? Like not even from the work that only he left, but a whole lot. Like I feel like Trump, he promised a whole lot of damage control, right? And so obviously that felt liberating for the people, like the certain change that they were expecting all along.
Believe that Donald Trump were to come to power, if he were to become king, what's the first thing that king does? What the first thing that king always does is cancel all debts. Because if you cancel all debts, who loses power? It's the rich who lose power.
Oh.
It's the rich who are almost dangerous to a king.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
But the thing is, isn't he a farmer of the same kind of power? Or is that a past life kind of thing with Donald Trump? The same kind of power.
Okay. So again, this is a very similar pattern in human history. It's all game theory, okay?
Game theory. I like it.
Any more questions, guys?
No, I'm good. I don't know about Sean Soon.
Okay, ask me one more question, then we'll break, okay? Is this clear to you guys?
That's good.
Okay. So another way of understanding this is that according to game theory, individuals don't really matter. Okay, you have to look at large groups. You have to look at large social trends.
Yeah.
Okay, you cannot really change the outcome for certain groups of people like poor kids unless you look at the overall structure in which they live.
Sure.
Okay. One more question, guys. Then we'll break for the day.
Come on, Amber.
Yeah, Alan.
Alan, let's go. Free the people, buddy.
So like, is that the society or like just the elite that really rule the country, who really have the power, have the motivations to maintain the society, that a certain degree of social mobility is allowed, but not all of them, but not really a big social mobility, so that firstly they can maintain their power, but second, like they give their lower class people a hope to get into the rich class, but not using like revolutions or other things that will like turn the society into collapse.
What?
Okay, yeah. Okay, look, you're absolutely right. So social mobility is really the best form of governance, right? As long as you enable people with talent and ability and ambition to climb up, they'll be happy. And your society will be very stable. But not only will it be very stable, it will be very prosperous, very creative. And it doesn't matter what system you have, okay? So the example is, okay, America in the 1950s was a democracy. And there's a lot of social mobility. And so people worked really hard, and America became very wealthy. But guess what? In China, 1950s,
What happened?
China was not a democracy. It was a communist system. But in the 1950s, people worked really hard as well. Why? Because China was destroyed after decades of war. And there were lots of opportunities for social mobility. If you worked hard, you got promoted very quickly in the system.
Yeah.
So even though it was a communist system, not a capitalist system, even though it was a command economy rather than democracy, people worked really hard because they thought that by working hard, they can improve their lives.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
social mobility is the best form of governance. You don't need democracy. You don't need any system, okay? As long as you have social mobility, people will be happy.
Right.
The problem, though,
Where is it?
that over time, less than a generation, all the positions of power are failed, okay? So the people with talent who made the country great, who made the country wealthy, when they get into power, they don't want people like them to replace them. They want their children to replace them.
Then you get a whole lot of that Nepo baby type stuff, right? nepotism. Because obviously you're gonna look out for your own family members first, instead of, you know, who rightfully deserves that title after you. I feel like that practice of, you know, the transfer of power, it's only within the systems that you create. You know what I'm saying? But then think about it. With the systems that you create, you also kind of have to formulate a way of how power is what is it? How power is, or a position of power, how it's achieved. Like there has to be a system, or there has to be some sort of standard. And once you do that, but then open up your own system. So for example, let's say it's a business. You open that up to the public for them to come and work within your thing. You know what I mean? And then you say, yo, whoever works hard enough is going to be the manager or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it has to be the same opportunity for the worker who was a regular civilian instead of your family member. But instead you get people who work seriously hard. But here goes the boss's kid to come and inherit the management position or whatever. And you got people that have been working there for generations, upkeeping your family's business for generations, but not getting shit. Nepo baby shit.
And over time, these children are a lot. So what happens is at the very top,
Yep.
all the positions are filled. And there's a waiting list as well.
Yo.
So if you are a poor person who works hard, really talented, unfortunately, all those positions at the top are filled already. And, and there's also a waiting list, so too bad. Okay? And again, you just look at Chinese history, right? Look at Chinese history, where at the beginning of the dynasty, you had all these talented people take the civil entrance examination, the Keju, and these are really top people.
For real?
But then what happens is that they have children, and they teach their children how to do on the Keju, and then eventually they're like, you know what, we'll just cheat. So they corrupt the Keju, and then eventually like, you know what, screw this. Whoever can pay to pass the Keju will pass the Keju.
Yo.
And then all the positions
Corruption.
at the very top are filled. There's no more social mobility. So what do people do? They engage in revolution, right?
Yeah.
So you look at Hong Xiu-chuan, right? He failed the Keju, or there was no position at the top for him. So he believed he became the brother of Jesus, right? And he started this revolution that claimed tens of millions of lives in China.
Damn.
Why? Because there's no social mobility for him. 50 years ago, prior, he would have been a civil servant. Same thing for Mao Zedong, right? By the time that Mao Zedong became a university student, the Keju had been eliminated. So there's no way for him to climb the ladder anymore. Therefore, he had to start engaging in new ideas.
Right.
Okay?
Damn.
So you're absolutely right in that social mobility is the best way to maintain social harmony.
Yeah.
But people have children, and they want their children to succeed. And they will arrange a system in a way that only their children can succeed.
Yeah, so everybody that, comes in and contributes to the system of that family succeeding only does that, at those children just inheriting the positions of power that like you're out here working for and working to advance and make bigger, only for you to stay in the same position though and not go anywhere, right? At that point, I feel like we've reached a point where being like you create your own position, bro. Like, don't be attached to like the position that somebody higher than you can give you, right? A boss or whatever, because it'll never come. We can see this now. It only makes sense for you to be attached to a position of power if there's power established by your own kind, by your own people, by your own family, that is. You know what I mean? Because all you do is just like help that family like just grow bigger and fatter. you know, only for their kids to come and occupy these positions that you're out here telling yourself, yo, if I work hard enough, I'll get this position and then I'll be good. Right?
Which screws over every other children, everyone
child.
else.
Yeah.
And so they have no choice but to overthrow the system, okay?
Right.
Or another way of saying this is game reset. Game reset. This is what a revolution is, okay? So
a resetting of the game.
Another way of saying this is that 100 people are playing a game, 10 people are winning, and they keep on winning, and they can only win. So everyone else is like, screw this game, let's start a new game.
Yeah.
And the 10 people are like, nope, we're happy playing this game. They can't agree, so the 90 people can only, the only thing they can do is a revolution, which allows for game reset, which now again allows for social mobility. And that is the course of human history. Okay?
That makes so much sense.
Either you climb up the ladder.
That makes so
If
much
they don't
sense.
allow you to climb up the ladder, then you just break the game.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but unfortunately, again, once you're in power, you want your children to inherit your power. And so you'll rig the game in a way that only your children can succeed. Okay? And that's why the schools are the way they are. Okay? Schools for the rich are very different from schools for the rich. There's a lot of freedom, there's a lot of creativity, the teachers are very good. You go to poor schools and it's the complete opposite. And the reason why is the system is set up to make sure that certain people succeed and everyone else fails. Okay? Does that make sense, Alan? Okay, great.